Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out of the Movies. Today we are doing another Allison Mack movie. And in this movie, it's called My Horrible Year. She has a very big part, I would say. Probably one of the biggest parts in the movie.
Safi, she's the main character.
Yeah, but there's always the parents and then, her friends.
She's the center of the whole movie. The movie
is very centered in the movie.
Starts off with her narrating it and everything. And that movie is called My Horrible Year. And I would like to add in a very fun tagline.
Oh, very fun what?
Tagline.
Oh.
And that is, so how long was this movie? An hour and 30 minutes?
Something like that, yeah.
So I would like to call this movie My Horrible Hour and 30 Minutes. Because, this movie starts off and immediately it's like an explosion of the past in, a really cringeworthy way to where this movie looks like a sitcom from the 90s or something, or early 2000s. It looks like Malcolm in the Middle, but for girls. And just all the editing crap that they do, too. Just this over-editing and, cutesy stuff that they do. It's really, really just annoying and hard to watch. And guess who directed this movie, Safi? That's what's even weirder.
Eric Stoltz.
Eric Stoltz.
He's a jerk.
How the hell? He's the most, white bread, just stiff, straight person on the planet. How did he direct this movie at all? It makes no sense to me. It's so weird. It's this movie, I don't even know how this movie exists. That's how weird it is.
Well, it's pretty much a bunch of nothing. I'd say 3/4 of it is just they're working on a mistaken premise. And then finally in the last, what would you say? The last
5 minutes. 5 to 10 minutes.
5 to 10 minutes. Finally, the reality of what the situation is comes to light.
Yeah, it was...
This is typical. It's a typical storyline.
It's a typical storyline of, a sitcom, too. So, the main girl, she thinks that her parents are getting divorced because the dad is always spending time at the aunt's house. But the aunt, there's a little missing element here. The aunt's husband, he died a couple months ago, and she's having a terrible time. So he's just going over there to help out all the time. And
wow.
Yeah,
that's really hard to believe.
For her it is. For the main character it is. She is that retarded.
And she's really mistaken. I mean, she's just totally, I don't know how, it's and even her friends, her two best friends, this couple, they're mistaken too. I mean, they're not totally into it, but they're going along with it. Stupid.
Yeah. I thought, because it was so obvious that they weren't getting a divorce, that there was no suspense, there was no... it was just kind of you're watching this idiot main character not figure out the most obvious thing, that they're not getting divorced. It was just so, this is what I hate about these types of movies, by the way, is that you'll have these main characters, and they're always, the center of attention in everything. It's just, everything is all about them. And it's just so, she sees herself all over the place. She sees herself in public. She's talking with this guy she likes in this television store, electronic store. And you have all these TVs displayed up there on the wall. And she sees herself talking to herself in the TVs and shit. And it's I just can't stand these narcissistic, sitcom types of characters. With Malcolm and Malcolm in the Middle, it made sense because he was the smart kid. And so, yes, everything is all about him all the time because that's what they're like smart kids, kids who are intelligent. And so, like, it made total sense, but, like, this character, like, woof. Like, what's there to her, Safi? She's got braces that are coming off 3/4 of the way into the movie. There's nothing else to her character. And she also
said... turning 16.
She also... Well, every girl turns 16, Safi, except for Principal Trunchbull from Matilda. Remember, she never was a child. Ever. And, like, also, another weird thing is that her lines... A lot of her lines are, like, lines that were written by, like, a 50-year-old man or something, or, like, some, like, older person who thinks that, like, a teenage girl would say these lines. Like, there was one part where... I don't know if Safi remember, but there was one part where she said, "I'm not gonna give up. Did Nixon give up? And did that other person give up?" And I was like, what effing teenage girl is going to be talking about how Nixon didn't give up? Like,
even in 2001.
What? And then there was another line where she was, like, dogging on people who talked about the JFK conspiracy, about how, you know, the whole magic bullet thing was retarded, and she was like, "Stop bringing up the magic bullet. God, it's so outdated at this point. You know, just believe what they tell you to believe. You know, you just be an idiot like me, because, you know, I joined a cult." And so, like, that was another stupid line. Like, what teenage girl would be ranting about people discussing the JFK assassination and the conspiracy that took place? Like, what teenage girl would do that ever? Like, except for maybe in the 60s when they were being indoctrinated.
Because that was 2001, though.
Yeah.
Way far away from the Kennedy assassination.
Yeah.
So, no. I don't think they'd be talking about them during that year. I could see it maybe way back
in the 60s.
In the 60s,
because that's when the word conspiracy theory and conspiracy theorists, that's when those words were created. They were created by the CIA to only discredit people talking about the JFK assassination. That was the whole basis for creating those words, which is just really hilarious because there's so many mainstream news, quote-unquote, reporters, and all they do nowadays is call people conspiracy theorists, and it's like, that's really not the own that you think it is when that word was created by the CIA. And it's, like, totally a part of the conspiracy that goes on. And so, but, like, you know, this, like, little teenage girl, she's not going to be talking about that. There was one reference that made sense where she said she might go postal, and that's something that's very dated because I don't even think Safi knows what that means.
Yes, I know what it is.
You do?
Yes, I do.
What, did you not let Jim play the video game?
What video game?
Postal.
Postal. Was there a video game with that? I know what
it
means.
That's what the term means. It has to do with, there was a very violent video game series called Postal.
Oh, it was a real thing.
It was all about a guy who would go around shooting and killing everyone, and all these pussified parents had a fit about it. And so when people said they might go postal, they're referring to the video game.
No, actually, they could be, but they
No, it's the video game.
No, back then...
Safi, she's a teenage girl.
No, Marco, listen to me.
She's a teenage girl.
Back in that day, there was a bunch of shootings in post offices by postal employees who were disgruntled and upset, and they shot a bunch of other workers. And this happened in several post offices. So that was what going postal...
No, that's not what it means.
Yes, it does.
That's not what it means. It has to do with the video game. Safi, you didn't know what you were talking about with Minneapolis, and you don't know what you're talking about with this either.
No.
It's Minneapolis.
I'm not going to accept it. I'm sorry.
Minneapolis.
If you don't know about that, then look it up.
I want to make a movie called Marco Goes Postal in Minneapolis. What would you think of that?
You're an idiot.
No. I mean, the one who joined the sex cult was the idiot. And so, this movie, I will say, okay, there were two things that I liked about it, maybe. Because most of the movie I did not like at all. I was very annoyed. It was just so generic and so, like, ugh. Like, I don't know, like, I expected this to be a lot better and funnier. Especially since you had Karen Allen.
Yeah, it was a surprise.
Not to me.
Because I don't think I've seen her in very many things. I've seen her in, was it Indiana Jones?
Yeah, but I told you, Safi, that a couple of months ago, it was like a discovery of mine that she was in a lot of, like, TV movies in the 90s and 80s.
Oh.
Or, I guess, 90s and 2000s, whatever, and so... But, like, the cast for this movie was pretty good. Like, I really liked her two friends. Those were my favorite characters in the movie. The guy... At first I thought the guy was gay. Because in these 90s sitcom movies, you always have to have the gay best friend to the main girl. And then you had the girl, and the girl was actually from Goosebumps. She was in the trilogy, the first trilogy episode, and the third one. Mm. And I thought they were really, really good. I could have just watched a movie about them, and not about the girl with braces who says lines that are written by a boomer. Right?
Weird.
What was interesting about her, Safi? I mean, there's nothing
Not really
at all.
Anything at all.
Yeah.
And one thing that she did was, quote, interesting, was she used citronella oil.
Yeah.
To cook with. And if you know what citronella oil is, I don't think you've ever heard of it in terms of cooking, but it's for putting outside, and usually you have like a citronella candle, or I guess they had tiki torches or something with citronella in them.
Yeah. And
you light it, and it keeps the mosquitoes away.
See, I didn't know that, so the whole sequence, I was in suspense of, like, what's so bad with using citronella oil?
No, you would not use it to cook with.
So
it is probably poisonous.
Then when the dad said it, I was like, oh, shit! Like, that was a big surprise to me, because I never heard of that before.
I was surprised that she used that for cooking.
Yeah, it was kind of idiotic.
She didn't know that.
That whole cooking sequence, I thought that cooking sequence was really idiotic because, like, it was just so goofy and not realistic. Like, when they put the chicken in, the chicken was already cooked. Like, remember when they were like, no, ew, don't touch it with your fingers. Like, normal people, they put the food in the, like, but, like, the chicken was already cooked. You could clearly tell, and whatever was going on in the pan was really weird, but it was because of the oil, I guess. And, I don't know, like, it just, that whole cooking sequence was really goofy.
Yes. And it's kind of bizarre because, you know, around a kitchen, you wouldn't have citronella oil in the cooking area. I mean,
yeah.
It'd be something that'd be maybe under the cupboard, like the sink, under the sink, and for the summer or something. Or it'd be in the garage. But as far as, like, in the kitchen where you have all your cooking supplies, it would be with them. You know, like, we have olive oil. And we have, we just got today, although somebody wants us to return it, vegetable oil. You wouldn't have that where you cook a citronella oil. It's stupid. So.
Yeah, that was stupid too. Like, I thought, why is that in the kitchen in the first place?
Yeah.
That should be.
It'd probably be outside.
That should be in the porch, or it should be in the garage. Like, there's so many better places to put that. I mean, yeah. But, like, yeah. So, anyways, another thing is that the secondary characters, they really like wrestling. And there's this one part where they thought they were going to get to meet and greet with Bret Hart, and they didn't get to meet him. He left, and I thought that sequence was really funny. And then, actually, he makes a cameo. They're just working at the frozen yogurt in the mall, and all of a sudden he shows up another day, and they get to meet him after all. And I thought that was a nice little cameo.
Actually, I thought that was nice, too.
That was probably another best part of the movie. And again, it revolved around the side characters. It did not revolve around the brace face. Because, like, I don't know, there's nothing about her. There's nothing else about her. Like, she liked her uncle. Well, he's dead. Like, the fun uncle, like, you know, you couldn't explore that relationship because he's dead. So, like, you know, what's there to explore with her? Like, her sex cult? Right? Or how she hates the twins. She hates the, her mom had babies. Aren't they twins?
Yes, they're twins.
She had twins, and Allison Mack hates them. Like, she wants them dead. She wants to grind them up and turn them into pepperoni.
No, she doesn't.
Like, no, she hates them, though. Like,
she what do you call it, warms up to them, because she got chicken pox, so this had to be, I remember this, there was 1 year, because I had chicken pox, and Marco was lucky because he missed it because he had a vaccination. But they had no vaccinations for a long time for that.
I don't see what's the big deal.
Right before, well, it's miserable. It is totally miserable.
It didn't look that bad.
Well, it's TV.
Well,
movie. It's not real, but it's itchy and miserable, and you get a fever. And I remember Jim. My other son, I'm trying to remember, I think he got chicken pox, and then the year after, they came out with a vaccine. I mean, it's just bizarre. He was very sad. But that was probably right around that time of when they made the movie. And she gets it, which is funny, too, because they didn't talk much about, but for some reason her mother thought she'd had it, which I think that would be something that your mother would know you had.
No, she said she did have it before, so she wouldn't get it again.
She wouldn't.
And apparently she does in this movie. And
I know that didn't make sense.
The whole movie,
I was mistaken. I heard it wrong.
The whole movie is built around her Sweet 16, which, like, yeah, couldn't care less about that.
Well, it's just, I don't know about, quote, Sweet 16, but she's going to be 16.
Safi, it's her Sweet 16.
Well,
that's what she says in the movie.
Okay, well, did you have a Sweet 16?
No, I haven't had a sweet anything.
Okay, whatever.
I'm a man. I have different things than women.
We have a cat.
I have manly things. I have manly birthdays. You know, like instead of Sweet 16, it was Salty 16. And so, like, anyways, I actually figured out the twist pretty early on in the movie, or at least one of the twists, because
I didn't know what it was, but I knew it wasn't what she thought it was.
The whole thing where she goes over to the aunt's house, and then the aunt says something about, I always thought of you as my second daughter. I knew that it might be something where she might live with her or something like that. And so that was like one of the twists, was that the family is going to move to Seattle. And so she had to choose between staying there or going to Seattle, which I think that's a pretty terrible thing they did to her on her birthday, because she's got to abandon her friends and her new boyfriend. That's the other thing. They have this stupid romance subplot with this guy who just totally doesn't fit with her at all. He's like a stick insect, and well, he is, Safi. I mean, he's one of those guys where he needs like a stick insect girlfriend. You know, like a Cher. Cher is like a stick insect. So if he was with Cher, he could do all right. Or like some like skinny blonde who's not Allison Mack. And they have this whole romance, and they had this stupid thing where he already had a girlfriend. She was a lot more interesting than Allison Mack. I mean, she bought him a picnic basket and everything. And But then he breaks up with her randomly. There's not really much with that at all. And then he gets with her at the end, and she's like, "Oh well, absence makes the heart grow fonder. I'm going to Seattle with my family."
I don't understand that either.
And I thought, what the fuck? Like, she's abandoning her friends and her new boyfriend. Like, what a little shithead. Like,
this
ew.
is high school. It's her last year of high school.
Yeah.
And I don't believe anybody, because people face this all the time, especially if they're in the military. They have to move constantly. And they try to avoid it when it comes to high school, because it's just so hard to move and make new friends, and it's going to be her senior year. And I just don't believe it. I don't think that was believable, that she wanted to go with her family and leave her friends and new boyfriend. She hasn't had him that long. And it was all offered to her. She could stay with her aunt and just follow the same rules. And I thought that was a great deal. She'd be to me, that'd be lucky.
Yeah.
She'd be lucky to do that. And then, she wanted to move, she could. Of course, that's when you start thinking about college and whatever else you're going to do. And it doesn't really matter about high school, because high school's over. But still, that was a bizarre decision.
It was very bizarre. And it was like some sort of thing where the writer thought it was like to do with the message of the movie, which is like, no matter how hard things get with your family, you always stick together. And like, but like this isn't one of those situations. Like, this is a situation where she's got 1 year left of high school, and she's gonna abandon her friends and her new boyfriend, and
going to a new school.
Yeah, new people. Having to take someone from Seattle to prom? Ew. No thanks.
It's just bizarre.
The whole movie was bizarre.
Yeah. really nothing happens.
Yeah.
Like for 3/4 of it.
That's another reason why I hate coming of age movies sometimes, because either a lot of stuff happens or nothing happens. And this is one of those ones where nothing happens.
And really, what happens is just she was really worried about her parents getting a divorce, and that didn't happen. And it was something quite different. And then the other thing, she gets a car, and that's about it, and a new boyfriend. But I mean, it all of that in the end, that settling of what was happening, it lasted 2 seconds. Is hardly any part of the movie. And I guess, like Marco said, that wrestler was at where they were working, that couple, and they were really excited, and I think that the girl was so excited she fainted.
Yeah.
And then they they went to the mall to meet him initially the day before.
We already talked about that, Safi.
I know that, but I mean, there's just nothing. There just isn't any big deal. And she gets chicken pox when she's already had it, which that makes absolutely no sense. So I mean, these decisions and these things that happen, it's just like what Marco talked about, her what she was saying about Nixon and all that. It never would happen.
There were a lot of weird lines in the movie. I didn't write them down, but there were a lot of weird lines.
I didn't hear that, but
yeah, that's always the case, Safi. Whenever there's a terrible line, you never hear it.
Well, it must have gone in one ear and out the other, because it was just so odd that I didn't pick up on it. I wrote some stuff down a couple of days ago or yesterday about...
What'd you write down? How cute you find Allison Mack?
No, Marco. It was when it was that my name is... I think my name is Stephen. About the parents saying that he needed a whipping.
Yeah.
And then, of course, even the molester was saying he'd get a whipping. And I mean, their big focus on whippings is just bizarre. So I did write that kind of thing down. But no, it's still, even if I didn't write it down and I didn't really hear it, it's bizarre, like Marco said. It doesn't make sense, and it never. I mean, I could see it if it's 1963 or 1964, and even then, I'm not really sure I see it. But it sure as hell wouldn't happen in 2001.
Yeah, like, stop talking about, like, the magic bullet and stuff. And then, and then she talked about the Queen, because that was another thing was...
I didn't get that either.
At the beginning, there was this whole focus on, like, everyone has a horrible year. You know, JFK had his horrible year where he died, and, the Queen, she's had a lot of horrible years.
I didn't get that either.
And I was like...
I know she didn't have any horrible year.
I was like, what? Like, what's she talking about?
Maybe
like
when Princess Diana died and her reaction
wasn't
very good.
I think that's what she was talking about, but it just felt like
know.
another, like, really dated reference where, like, I don't even think a girl her age would really care about that stuff at all. I
don't know. I don't think Princess Diana... I think that was too early for her.
When was she murdered?
Even be married to him.
When was she murdered? Let's see. Compared to 2001. 1997.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, I guess so. Okay.
Oh my god, the Queen had a really terrible year. So did JFK,
her son.
all those years ago. Like, why didn't she talk about the children at Columbine? Like, didn't Columbine happen 2000 or 2001? Like, that would have been something to say, like,
I don't know.
The kids at Columbine had a terrible year. And I'm having a horrible year too, because I had braces. Oh, 1999. That's even worse. Like, why didn't she even mention the poor kids at Columbine? Like, I guess they don't matter because they don't have braces and they don't have to deal with their parents possibly getting divorced and stuff like that. That's really tough to deal with.
They were kids from the military. Was it, I don't know, both of them or one of them?
Well, what about all the people that worked with them to kill those kids? Anyways, what's your food review for this movie, Safi? My horrible food review for this horrible movie. Because I think I really have a hard time, like, ranking this movie with the worst movies of the year. Because, like...
I guess I'll just give it some plain chicken.
Really?
And that's doesn't have any spices on it. And,
yeah.
It's been cooked, but I'm not going to say cooked in citronella oil. To me, that's like a travesty. I can't even imagine. I wish they hadn't been in the movie. I just can't even imagine it. They could have had it where she didn't cook it long enough and it was raw or something. But where she cooks it in citron, to me, that's just so... It would never... I just don't think it would ever happen. And so to me, it wasn't funny because I just thought it was... It just wasn't right. It's just like some of those things they said. And, the other things we talked about.
Yeah, there are a lot of other bad lines, too. It's just Safi didn't pay attention.
Well, you didn't either because you don't have them down.
Well, that's because I thought you would write something down.
Bullshit.
You're too busy doing something else, I guess.
Yeah, I was watching the movie.
So, I mean, this movie was so bad to me. I would rather watch Woods Witch again than watch this movie again.
No, not me.
Because this is so...
I don't want to watch either one.
This is so dated. And this is so, just obnoxious and stupid and generic and bland. I talked about the cookie dough shake at Steak and Shake yesterday, for last review.
Yeah.
I didn't rate that movie as Steak and Shake, so I'm going to rate this movie My Horrible Year. I've had almost all the Steak and Shake shakes.
Have you really?
Almost. And the worst flavor that they have is Kit Kat. Now, I really love Kit Kats. I think they're one of my favorite candies. In fact, when I cheated and won the contest in that history class in high school, I got a big Kit Kat as a reward. and didn't share it with anybody neither. And much to Safi's chagrin.
That was terrible.
And I'm glad I didn't. And this shake, the Kit Kat shake at Steak and Shake, it is legitimately terrible. There's hardly any Kit Kat flavor at all. It's mostly just bland powdered vanilla shake flavor that you taste. Yeah. And it's so bland. It's so disappointing when you think about Kit Kat. Like, I'm going to have a Kit Kat shake. And you think about, ooh, is it going to be chocolate? Is it going to, have huge chunks of Kit Kat? And just, no. It's going to be this terrible, awful thing. I really think the thing that they could do to improve it, though, which, the same thing with this movie, I guess, is to add in some caramel. Like, add in something interesting. Because, like, if you had a big, gooey caramel center of, like, just all this caramel in the center of the shake, that would make it a little bit better. Or something like that, or fudge. Hot fudge. But not just this bland vanilla shake with little tiny shavings of Kit Kat. So.
Well, I'm really surprised that you didn't rate it. Another thing that he had at Steak and Shake yesterday were chili cheese dogs.
But I didn't say they tasted bad. I just said.
Yeah, but the chili didn't have any beans.
Yeah.
It was just hamburger meat.
Yeah, it was really weird. Like, I've gotten chili dogs from Steak and Shake for a while. They do this thing now where instead of allowing you to order chili cheese dogs off the menu, they force you to order them separately so that they can make more money. And the chili this time, it was literally just meat sauce with cheese. There were no beans at all.
That's not chili.
Not even any onions either.
Any state in the union.
So.
Well, you know what? That's not true. I guess Cincinnati chili, it doesn't have beans, does it?
I don't know.
I don't think it does. That's a big thing here. Is Cincinnati chili. Ugh. Ugh. Gross. But I don't think... I bet it wasn't... You've had Cincinnati chili. It wasn't like that either, was it?
No, I didn't. I said it tasted good. Like, it tasted okay. It was just very weird, and it felt like something was missing.
I wonder what.
With
the beans.
With this movie, I didn't feel like something was missing. I just felt like the whole movie was trash.
Well, after watching that really good movie yesterday, which was a surprise, that's what I like. Finding a movie like that, and neither one of us have seen it, and it turns out to be really good all the way through, and you have fun watching it. That's what I like. I always hope, that's what's going to happen, and really, frankly, it rarely happens. But you have that movie, which was really good and fun to watch, just like I said, and then you have today.
This was the opposite.
Not good at all.
Just the absolute worst thing in the world.
And that's where this movie was where she had a big, big part.
Yeah.
So.
And I didn't think necessarily her acting was the problem, though.
No.
I thought it was the script.
Yes.
Like, there was one scene where she was at the movie theaters, and she was saying how, I don't want to smile at that guy that I like because I forgot to brush my teeth before we left. And then she smiles at him, and she does this, like, really awkward, like, just complete, like, teenage girl brace face smile at him. And it is pretty funny the way that she does it, and I think she is good at acting. It's just the script was terrible, so.
And what's funny, but they did not emphasize it that much, but, he asked her about that orthodontist. That's the person who puts the braces on. And what happens is, she, right before her 16th birthday, she goes and she's getting her braces off. But guess what? He's going in there. They missed each other too. They didn't even see each other. He goes in and he gets braces.
Yeah.
So now she has no braces on, but he does.
Yeah.
They didn't even really they didn't even like say anything about it. I don't think.
Yeah, I thought that would be a big deal or something, but it was like, no.
Be something. Somebody would say something.
Yeah, like they had that as a plot point in that other movie that I watched this year, where that guy, he literally got braces on purpose just to make that girl like him more, and then she likes him at the end and everything. And they made a big point about it too, and it was very effective and it was funny as well. And with this, it was like the complete opposite, where it was like a little footnote, just like Safi.
That was just that was another weird thing. That's why I say, I don't know what they needed. They needed a
writer,
quality control person.
No, they needed a writer.
Over everything that they did because
they needed an editor who wasn't like
a quality control person.
Wasn't like a teenage girl who was like high on sugar. Like those like pixie sticks, like that's all she eats, and then she's editing this movie. Like, oh, let's put that here. Let's put this transition here. Let's do this here.
Yeah, I mean, there were so many little things, but they add up.
Yeah.
And nothing happened in the movie. And I'm sure that there's a coming of age movie out there.
There are a lot of great ones.
Things happen that make it interesting or fun or good or solid. So anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and become one of our subscribers so you can tell us what you're watching. And if you've discovered some unusual or weird movie which you weren't sure what was going to happen and then it turned out to be really good.
Safi, what would you like to discover in Allison Mack?
Nothing.
Why?
I just hope that she changes her ways because what's she gonna do with her life?
Yeah, what do you?
She's got a record.
What do you want her to do?
I want her to do something productive.
Like what?
I don't know.
You want her to come over and help you?
No, I don't. I don't know what to do with her. I don't care about this person like you care.
No,
a lot about her. But
no, I did this month all for you. I did this month all for you, Safi.
Oh, that's stupid.
Because Safi,
we got a good movie out of it.
Yesterday's movie. She was hell-bent on not doing Allison Mack April because I thought it's perfect. Allison Mack April. Like, you just can't resist doing something like that. It's just too perfect.
Okay, goodbye, everybody.
Why?
It's time to go.
Bye.